Friday for us here. It might be for you, but you know what they say, it's always Friday somewhere. So we have a great customer of ours, Kyle King, who we did headlights and taillights for a few years ago now. Shockingly, we received this in the mail. So the shop that he brings his car to sent this to us. It looks like he was in a little bit of a something. Hopefully not an accident, because that car is beautiful. Hopefully it's just something that fell on this. But either way, as you can see, it's not good. So they also provided us with a brand new, not brand new, new to them, OEM core. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and take the components out of this taillight, put it into this. Now, before you guys ask, we don't really do taillights anymore. The reason being, these boards, the manufacturer no longer makes them. I myself put a few $1,000s into getting these boards remade. Bigger, better, not bigger, same size, better. But the person that we had manufacture them is located in Ukraine. So just due to everything going on over there, I don't know the status. It was probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago that we started down that journey. So if we get them, cool. I hope everything's fine. I haven't talked to him in a little bit. The last I heard he was safe, which is great. Anyways, moving on. That's why we don't do these anymore. And then other taillights. With headlights, they make halo shapes, they make sea lights, they make other stuff. We can make custom acrylic for and backlight it very easily. With taillights, it's just a different animal altogether. A lot of this stuff you have to have like custom PCB boards made, which is expensive, or you can do individual LEDs, which take a lot of time. So the issue is, if we were to try to charge customers the amount of time that we actually put into it compared to like our normal like headlight rate, it would be offensively expensive. I know other places do taillights, and it's awesome. They don't have like overhead or employees, and they can take the time with that. It's great, but it's just something we can't do. And we're just really good at headlights, so that's what we continue to do. This one I had already cut open, so I just followed the same line that I used to open them the first time when we modified them. So I had to cut through the silicone and the plastic weld. And then this set here, we're gonna go ahead and open right now so we could swap everything over. They also did say that some of the LEDs weren't working after the crack. I'm assuming that stuff got in there. I'm hoping it's salvageable. Maybe just some new solder or something like that. Work on some. Hopefully it's not super corroded or there's nothing that's actually physically broken. We'll see. So let's go ahead and open this bad boy. All right, so we got this cut. I'm just going to use some pry tools to very carefully split this open, but it looks like it's already starting to come apart. I'm gonna do this outside of this room. This room we use for like a lot of like cutting or sanding, and I don't wanna get any sort of that stuff inside this because we are reusing this lens. So we're gonna pop out, open it up, and then start to take this one apart, take that one apart, switch it over. All right, they're apart and we are all set with this. Shucks. We're opening this one now. Oh wow, it's almost like I opened it right before the shot for ease of video and less time.
Otherwise we'd have to charge for that.
I didn't do it. I trimmed a little bit. I don't know if I have to trim any more, but sometimes this like inside edge inside edge here can like kind of be in the way of pulling some pieces out. So sometimes we'll trim it back. Like I trim this one back a bit just so we can get stuff out easier. So, oh, that was nice. Nice. All chrome Johnnies. Cool.
Are you done with lunch?
So at this point, we are going to just clean out any of like the little debris that came in as we were cutting this open, and I may try to use like some glass cleaner. We try not to typically touch the inside of the lens, just like Cody explained in one of our latest videos on lens restoration. We'll take a peek, make sure it's nice and neat. In the meantime, I'm just gonna test the LEDs from the old taillight boards just to make sure they are in working condition before we seal it up, and we'll go from there. So these boards are ground switched. So what that means is they have a common positive for all the LEDs. So I believe it's this one, but we'll find out in just a second. It is, cool. So I'm gonna just go ahead and put the positive power, just put power to that, to normal power. Just test each one of these clusters of LEDs. So those look good. We have a cluster of 3 out right here, as you can see. It looks like there's probably a resistor that's shared between those 3. I don't know for sure, but just looking at the PCB lines itself, like the traces, it looks like those probably share a resistor. So my bet is either the resistor solder joint is cracked or it just needs a new resistor. And like I said, they don't make these anymore, so hopefully we have some that'll fit. It may actually be the solder on one of the LEDs as well, if it's not getting through. I don't know, we'll see. So I just put some tape on there just to let me know that it's those 3 we're gonna take a peek at. That solder joint right there is a bit sus, so we're gonna probably look at that one first. All right, and let's go ahead and test the C shape in this bad boy. So I believe that the A plug is going to be, the black A plug is going to be our common positive.
Oh.
So I'm just going to go pin by pin here. That looks good. And then what I'm going to do is just like jump from one cluster to the next. So it looks like they're in pairs of rows. So I left off there. I'm going to look for that one now. The issue is if when you jump, if it lights up this one, you're going to be like, oh, it's fine. Like that part lit up with here. Yep, 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 yep. So it is just going to be these three we're going to take a peek at. What am I doing? What am I doing with taillights, dude? Everyone knows we don't do these.
Some say taillights are the headlights of the rear end.
I'm just going to go ahead and test power on the LEDs themselves just to see where we're having this blockage or disconnect. I believe what I'll do, just to spare my retina, is going to be covering the other, like all of these with tape. The benefit to that is obviously the tape will make it like more of an opaque, like dim it down a bit.
Or do we have 6 sunglasses?
All right, so I'm going to test for ground first. This thing is cheap, but I've had it forever. It's just really, I don't need to know how much power is flowing to the LEDs currently. I just need to see if it is or not. So I just like using this one. It's just easy. Like it's almost like an on-off switch. I can just tell, okay. So this is my suspicion, is that this solder joint right here was bad because it just looks crummy. When I push on it or like connect it with the LED, like the side of it, all those LEDs turn on. When I go to the next one down, each one is lighting up on its own until I get to this spot. I'm just gonna apply a little bit of solder to that solder joint on the LED right now, and we will see if that does it. We got a nice shiny boy on there now. Probably clean it up with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol after, just to make it look nice. Oh my goodness, that worked. So I'm just gonna push on it a little bit just to make sure that that doesn't let go or if it's not some other issue. Based off that and the test we did with this, I think we're good. All right, so at this point we are good to go ahead and just make sure everything's nice and clean. Put this in that front lens and then the lens will reattach to the backing. So let's go. Let's go. So a big thing with taillights is obviously once we seal them up, we don't want any debris inside. We already saw some of the lens. Another part of that is the backing. So it is rare, like if something back here, it's very rare that it would come through to the lens side just because taillights are pretty sealed up. But the edges here, obviously when we cut them, there's like a little bit of a burr. So I'm just gonna take this deburring tool, go around it, because all that stuff like this, when I go to seal it up, it could fall in on the front side of the lens, and then we have a bunch of plastic stuff inside the taillight. This tool makes pretty quick work of it, and it looks a whole lot better when we go to seal it up. Butt, cheeks, skin showing. So I have all the parts cleaned. I cleaned the lens. I deburred the front lens and the backing so we're not worried about any debris getting in. So I'm going to carefully put this painted piece back in this new lens. Oh dude, this is the Six Flags commercial, right? The old dancing guy?
The Monopoly Man?
Close to him, yeah. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put the backing on and then kind of clamp it. It does have a few different parts that it likes to kind of sit on, so I'm going to just kind of push it down. It should stay by itself, but there are also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws that go into these. So I'll be able to screw the backing to it. This should hug the front lens and it should be pretty together. But we will go ahead and plastic weld the seam and then also seal it with some silicone. And then a new thing that we didn't have back when we first made these was our plastic stapler. So what that does is it pretty much like heats a coil in different staple shapes, and then it goes in the plastic and kind of burrows in, and then as it cools off, it holds it together. But it's actually like metal holding the plastic together, which is very nice for longevity. Goes here, this goes there. So I'm gonna go ahead at this point and use the plastic stapler that we have just to do a couple choice points that aren't going to get in the way of me sealing the rest of this up. Pick a few spots where I feel like it's gonna need like the most. Like right here, you can kind of see like that little red, maybe you can't, showing through. So I'm just gonna go ahead and push that there, throw a staple in. Bottom here looks good. I'll probably throw one in just for fun. Maybe the curve. Curves are usually where you're gonna wanna put stuff like that. And then up here, like I mentioned, sometimes I do have to cut away a little bit more just to get the, in this case, painted parts out of the lens. So there's a little bit of a gap there. When we silicone seal it, it'll help seal a lot of that, but I will also plastic weld and push material in there. So I'll probably also just toss a staple right at the top there just to make sure that it doesn't work itself over time. So how this works is similar to a light bulb with a filament. As the filament heats up with electricity, it gets hot, which creates light. So with this, the same thing, as it puts electricity through this, you'll see it start to smoke, and then it will start to change colors. And then we'll see it get a nice red hot color, just like that. So now it is red hot. This is the time we're gonna wanna put it through the plastic. So I'm gonna start this one up top here. So we're just gonna blow away the smoke as it comes up. Watch out, Jordan, I don't want you to inhale this. And then once it cools down, I'll go ahead and just pop it out like that. So yeah, now we have a metal piece that's holding that together. I feel pretty good about the structural rigidity of that.
That's a nice tackle box you got there.
Why, thank ya. Going fishing later.
Ooh, that's some hot fishing.
So yeah, right now I am just laying tape where I'm gonna put the silicone. So I put the outside line, it's gotta do the inside line now. And what this does is once I put a nice bead of silicone down, we'll peel the tape off, and that'll just leave a really nice seam there. There won't be like splotches or like the whole thing just loaded up. So this is just a nice way to keep both sides of it clean. It's just a little extra detail. It takes a little more time, obviously, but it just looks better. It fits the car better too. A lot of times I've seen taillights just chock full of silicone, and when they go to put them on, they sit further out than they did from the factory, which is not good. Because with these and a lot of other ones, they have this gasket here. So what this does is this seals like right where the trunk area is. So inside here is actually inside the car, in the trunk. So if this gasket here isn't pushed all the way in due to the silicone not allowing the taillight to fully sit, it's gonna have water coming in the trunk, water coming in the taillight. It's not good. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just lay some silicone on here. Like I said, all of it's plastic weld. There's a little gap up here, so we're just gonna make sure we get good penetration. What? All right, so at this point, we're going to very carefully remove all the masking tape that we have on here and reveal a beautiful butterfly. We're good. So this is gonna sit overnight. Well, it's Friday, so Monday. We'll come back, test it out once again real quick, make sure everything's working, and from there it's ready to ship out. Glad we could get Kyle set back up with this. We'll get this down to the shop that sent it in shortly, and yeah, he'll be back to stunting in no time. Until next time, I'm gonna go clean the silicone off my hands before I get it all over my clothes.